Hello, my name is Rex Winn. I'm an Iron Speed Designer MVP, and today I'm going to take you through a very simple demonstration of using a RAD calendar control in an Iron Speed Designer application. We're going to cover how to get the control into Iron Speed, how to configure the control, how to run it, and also how to get multiple selected dates out of the control so that you can use them in your application. To begin with, let's go ahead and connect Iron Speed to the sample database I've built. I'm going to be using C# for this. Everything else looks good. And I'll pick Everest for my default theme. I want to use SQL Server, and we're just going to connect with my normal credentials. And here I want to use the sample site, selected dates, next. And we're done. What I want to do now is go ahead and build the application. And then what I want to do is go in here and just verify that all of my pages have been created in a way that I expect. For today's example, I'm mostly concerned with the add selected dates, and it's created a text box for me here, which is good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to configure the Telerik RAD controls to be used within this application. And so to start with that, let's go ahead and get the RAD controls and get them into our Iron Speed application where we can use them. What I've done is I have created ahead of time a project in Visual Studio 2005 where I've gone ahead and built up the code I'm going to need, compiled it, debugged it, made sure it was all working. And what I'm going to do now is take the elements of this code and get them into my Iron Speed application. So to start with, I'm going to jump into this is my ASP.NET project site, and I want to grab two folders. I want to grab RAD controls, and I want to grab bin, and I'm going to Control-C copy them. And then I want to jump over into my Iron Speed application's root directory, selected date examples. I've got an app code, a bin folder, all of this. What I'm going to do is Control-V to paste. It's going to ask me if I want to overwrite bin. Yes, I do. It'll leave whatever is there, and it's just going to put my stuff in. And we can go in there and have a look. You can see what it's done. It's left the base classes, and it's just put in the RAD calendar control. So let's go back up into the root. I also pasted in a second folder, RAD controls, and this just has the license file, input control, and the calendar control. So we're ready to use this control in Iron Speed now. And to begin with, I'm just going to toggle back into Visual Studio. And the first piece of code that I need to get is the actual calendar control code. And this is it right here. And I'm not going to go over the properties I've configured. You can grab those from the example if you need to. And I'm going to copy those. And then I am going to come into my Iron Speed sample application. And this is the control right now that is bound to my database. What I want to do is double click this, and I'm going to uncheck visible because I don't want it to be seen. I'm going to make note that it's dates selected, and I know that it's a text box. And what I want to do is come here, I'm going to save this, jump into the HTML view, and I'm going to do a find And I just want to scroll down here. Here I can see that this is my label. Here I can see this is my control. I'm just going to go ahead and put my calendar code in there right next to it. I'm going to hit save. And then I want to jump back into my application and Visual Studio. And I want to go and get this default code here. And we're just going to put this in the load event for the iron speed application. And we're going to put it in the safe code, and we're going to put it right after. So we'll hit enter and clean that up a bit. And the next thing we have are some events that we need to add in. And for now, I'm just going to paste this in. And this is a callback from the control for the day render event. And you can read more about that in the documentation for the RAD controls. But what we're doing here is, as each day is rendered in the calendar, we are determining whether or not it is able to be selected by the user. So what I've got here are some dates that I don't want the user to be able to select at all. I'm going to black out the 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. I don't want the user to be able to select those dates, but every other date in the calendar I want to be able to let the user select. And in my button click event, I've got some code here that I'm going to have to fix. I can't use the text box 1 in the application, but we can fix that. So we'll Control C, we'll copy this code, and what I want to do is come back into the iron speed application, save, and then I want to go back into the design view, and we are going to go to customize, and we are going to go to the code customization wizard. We're going to hit next, and what I want to do is button customization. I don't want to add a custom AXPX button. I want to add a custom button and handle its on-click event. So we'll say next. Button control, I want the save button. I'm going to say next. And then we're going to say finish. And the designer took me down into my form, and it's generated this event for me. Right here, the save button click. So what I want to do is put this code in up above that base call to save button click underscore base. I'm just going to paste that in. And here's what we've got. Let me just clean this up a little bit. We'll get rid of the text box references. And I've got a for each iteration. I think up here I need to we're going to say we're going to overtype this with this dot page dot session selected dates, and we're going to leave that there. Well, let's go back over here. Oops. I accidentally hit Control V instead of Control C. Now I want Control C, and we're going to overtype. Oh, wait a minute. Selected dates is equal to this date, that toString, yep. Okay, that's correct. What we want to do is change it down here. We're going to Control V, and then we want to Control V, and whoop. Now I haven't actually done this in the application yet, so if I get some funky errors, we'll figure it out pretty quick. And the last thing that well, I guess what we didn't need to use a session variable. I was using that for another example. What we want to do is hit save. I want to go back into the designer HTML view, and I'm looking for dates selected, which is a text box, and what I want to do is come back in here, and we've got some redundant code, but that's okay. What we're gonna do is put this right here. What is the name of that field? I already forgot it. Dates selected. Alright. .text is equal to Control V dot toString, and we'll trim it. And that should be all we need there. Let's go ahead and build and run that. Oh, before I get too far, let's go. We're missing one other piece of code that we need to grab. Right now we haven't told IronSpeed that we intend to use the rad calendar controls. So let's go tag register prefix. We want that, and we'll Control C, and we'll tab back. And what I'm going to do is go back into our add form, and I'm going to go back into the HTML view. And right up here, I'm just going to insert this line. And we'll save that. And then let's go make sure that we don't have any references to it in the ASPX page. And we might. Yeah, we do. So we need to grab this. And jump back into the IronSpeed application. And let's just put it right down under our own area. And that should satisfy the IronSpeed application. Now let's go ahead and see if all of my code links up. You can see my disable 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. That worked. So let's see if we can select some dates and get them out. So we will hit save. And there they are. So in a nutshell, that's how we can add a date range, or excuse me, a rad calendar control into our application, get its values out and use them. As I compiled and ran the application, I did have one error that I should point out since I went through the demonstration of adding the code in. I got an object not referenced error, and it is because I had this code right here. I wasn't paying very much attention, and I had it up underneath this initialize event, so I cut it out and moved it down here into the load data, put it under the call to the base event, and everything works fine after that. So you might want to note that, but I'm going to publish this video and the example code on the IronSpeed website. So that's all there is for using RAD controls in IronSpeed Designer, or excuse me, the RAD calendar control. If you have questions about this, please let me know.